Hey, what's up guys, it's Archie from Muncher Gaming. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing slash comparison video. Here is the new Razer DeathAdder V2. I also have the previous model, the Razer DeathAdder Elite, so we'll get to do a in-depth side-by-side comparison. Now first and foremost, the Razer DeathAdder was my first gaming mouse when I first started PC gaming, so this is quite the experience to see it come so far. They've sold over 10 million copies, so it's a really popular mouse in a really popular shape. Honestly, all of you guys should be pretty familiar with it already, but there have been many changes with the V2, so we're going to try to go through all of those in today's video. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do unboxing, and then after that we're going to be comparing the differences between these two mice. Now without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I got this mouse for $69.99. that's the full retail price right now. Honestly, a great price when you consider everything that you're getting. If anyone's wondering, my current gaming mouse is the Glorious Model O, and I really like it. It's an ambidextrous shaped mouse, whereas this is a more of a right-handed ergonomic mouse. So taking a look at the front of the box, obviously Razer logo up top, Razer Chroma RGB, that's the lingo that they use for the RGB. The Focus Plus sensor, let's touch on that real quick. 20K DPI optical, that's kind of over the top. Nobody cares that the DPI is that high, but a really accurate sensor and top of the line. This is the sensor that they put on some of their more expensive Ultimate mice, which are like $150 and more. Already went over that, 10 million copies, really popular shape. At the bottom, it's an ergonomic shape, so some of you guys that are new, it's just shaped for more right-handed users, so it's not symmetrical. It does have Razer's new optical mouse switches. This is some of the same type of switches that you see on their newer keyboards, and like I said, they're higher end mice. And then one thing that's also new here, guys, is the Razer SpeedFlex cable. So supposedly the new cable is a lot more enhanced. I don't know how much more you can improve the mouse, but they've improved the cable. So here on one of the side panels, just more information about the Focus Plus optical sensor and the optical mouse switch as well. The cables, just kind of reiteration, more explanation of what you see on the front here. Just a Razer logo on the side, nothing on top except for a little loop to hang it up on the shelf. Here on the back, ergonomics without equal. Here are a lot of the new features. So now we have 8 programmable buttons, some of the same lingo as before, the cable, sensor, 5 onboard memory profiles. This is also one of the new things. At the bottom, you'll see here you do have a 2-year warranty. I did have to activate my warranty with one of my Glorious mice, so I don't know. I've always known Razer to have really good products, but nice to have that warranty because you never know when you're going to need it. Here on the bottom, just what's inside. Obviously the mouse itself and some important product information. You need a computer to customize synapse, but we'll go over some of that later in the video. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and open it up. So here at the top, you got one sticker. If you didn't know, one of their mottos is for gamers by gamers. Now, nothing else in the box there. So you have the mouse, a little bit of plastic, a little bit of cardboard. I'm feeling the cable now, guys, and I can tell you that it feels really soft. Let's see, there is a tab right here on the side that I think we can remove or take apart. Maybe another tab over here. All right. Okay, so mouse last, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of their product information. Unleash your true potential. Just a message by the co-founder and CEO right here. Let's go ahead and take this plastic off. That's the first insert, and thank you for choosing Razer. Protect your Razer gear if you'd like. Here is a little pamphlet right here. Open it up, and the first thing you'll see here is a sticker, or should I say stickers. You got the holographic Razer logo, Razer spelled out right there, and then the Razer Chroma for gamers by gamers, their motto. So there's that, and then here is their pamphlet. So some, just kind of like a little quick start guide. A lot of people complain about the Razer Synapse software, but it does have onboard memory, so you can make some customizations and then take this off your computer. So that is a big plus in my book. Okay, so won't bore you guys to death with this, but let's open it up. Just some more of that fine print and different languages. So nothing else. All right, so here is the first look at the mouse. I can tell you the coating feels pretty nice. It's a little bit of texture. It's not slippery. I think it's gonna be a little bit sweat resistant. It feels light. I haven't had a DeathAdder in a while, but it definitely feels a lot lighter than I remember. So let's go ahead and bring out the DeathAdder Elite. Here is the DeathAdder Elite model. We're going to do a in-depth side-by-side comparison between the two. Now, let me just go ahead and say for the record, I will be doing a giveaway, okay? I'm gonna give away this mouse for sure. I'm probably gonna be giving this away, but we'll see. It just depends how much I like it, to be honest. I might switch back from the Model O. I don't anticipate it, but you guys never know. So if you're interested in the giveaway, just leave a comment below and I'm going to be setting that up. So I'm gonna be giving away gaming keyboards, gaming mice, keycaps, a lot of items, but more details to follow this video. So subscribe and leave a comment below if you are interested. So back to the mice, guys. So we're just gonna take it piece by piece. Honestly, the first thing that I noticed was the cable. This is the SpeedFlex cable. It's very flexible compared to the Elite model. Honestly, I really did like the Elite braided cable, and I don't think it's a slouch by any means. So just the fact that they've improved it with the V2 says a lot. So definitely a lot more flexible than the previous model, but overall both are great cables. Now, one of the most significant differences, guys, I touched on this a little bit earlier, is the DeathAdder V2 is significantly lighter. So depending on what scale you use, the DeathAdder V2 is about 82 grams, whereas the DeathAdder Elite tips the scales at about 100 grams, or sometimes a little bit heavier depending on how much cable you weigh with that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and plug this up so you guys can see the mice with the RGB lighting. So I have both mice plugged up, and this might not be noticeable in the video itself, but the RGB on the DeathAdder V2 is much more brighter and more distinct. So the color definitely pops out more, not just on the logo here, but also on the scroll wheels. So like I said, you might not be able to notice it on the video, but I can tell you for a fact right off the bat, the RGB on the DeathAdder V2 is much more brighter and looks way better. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bottom. If you'll notice here, both mice do have a protective plastic layer here. We'll go ahead and peel that. So there's the DeathAdder V2. They do advertise 100% PTFE mouse feet, so this should glide pretty well on any mouse mat. So you'll notice there is a piece up top, on the bottom, and also around the sensor. So 20,000 DPI, not going to put much emphasis on that because that's just an unrealistic DPI setting if you are a gamer. I game around 400 to 800 DPI, but there is a button here to change your profiles. Let's go ahead and take a look at the DeathAdder bottom. We'll go ahead and peel that as well. On the bottom, not that the color matters, but the bottom, you have, I guess you would say, standard stock mouse feet. Again, on the top, on the bottom, around the sensor, you do not have the profile button to switch from profile to profile, and the sensor is much more improved on the DeathAdder V2. As far as the specs go, on the DeathAdder V2 you can adjust your DPI up to 20,000, whereas on the Razer DeathAdder Elite you have 16,000. So one of the bigger, I think more important things is the fact that the tracking speed on the new V2, it has a tracking speed of 650 IPS, so a really accurate sensor, definitely among the best in the market. And this is the sensor that you'll see on Razer's more premium, more expensive mice. Taking a look at the scroll wheel, you'll see that the scroll wheel is different. You'll notice a little bit more of those notches. I think honestly it's a little bit more grippier. As far as scroll wheels go, I love the feel of Razer's scroll wheel. I think honestly it just leaps and bounds better than some of these other mice manufacturers such as the glorious Model O. That is my main mouse, but I have to say one of my gripes is the scroll wheel on that. So this one feels grippy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Elite. You'll notice it has less notches. I think it's still plenty grippy, honestly. It feels great, but I would say the scroll wheel on the V2 is a lot more smooth and balanced. Taking a look at the DPI buttons, one thing that's new is these DPI buttons are a little bit recessed. So I don't know if you can see that there, but it's kind of a little bit recessed in between these two left and right mouse buttons. So it should provide provide for less misclicking, so it requires more deliberate clicks to actuate these buttons. They're also square and separated, whereas on the Elite, they're kind of side by side, rectangular. Quite honestly, I haven't had an issue with any misclicks, but I can see why they did that. So a little bit improvement. I'm not really a big fan of the glossy material here. I think it's going to catch a lot of smudges and fingerprints, but I would say it's still improvement nonetheless. Now, taking a look at the sides, guys. So V2 on the top, Elite on the bottom. So if you notice here on the Elite, the rubberized panel is just this part right here, nothing else. The rest of it is just kind of more of that plastic build as you see on the rest of the mouse, but you have that rubber texture only here on the bottom on the previous model, the Elite. On the new model, you'll notice the side panel is actually part of the frame actually, so should provide for a little bit more durability, but this whole panel is actually rubberized a little bit more grippier. The only thing is this part right here is the texture part, so not a separate panel altogether, but I have to say really digging the side panel here. Really grippy all over. I should provide for just really good tracking, really good flicks, really good control of your mouse. Next up, guys, let's do a quick sound test. Alright guys, real quick, let's go ahead and talk about the side buttons real fast. Let me just say these side buttons are among the best in the business. The reason I say that is sometimes with these other mice manufacturers, these side buttons are kind of an afterthought. With the DeathAdder series, they've always been good. Between the V2 and the Elite, I can't tell much of a difference, but these side buttons are just as good, if not better, than the Elite. These are absolutely ginormous, and not only that, but they feel really amazing. The switches, the clicks, there's very minimal pre-travel, very minimal post-travel. They feel extremely crispy and satisfying. Honestly, they feel just as great as the left and right mouse buttons, and that's saying quite a bit. So might be a stretch to some of you guys, but if you're like me and you have some important binds mapped to your side buttons in some of your PC games like Fortnite and whatnot, you might consider giving the DeathAdder V2 or the Elite for that matter a try. I like the placement of the mice. I think they're big and they're just seated in a really good spot for me. That accompanied with these new side panels, just a really great combination. So moving on, guys, one of the things that I did mention briefly previously is that the new V2 has 5 onboard memory profiles, whereas the DeathAdder Elite doesn't have any. So obviously, if you've been part of the gaming community for quite some time, you'll notice a lot of people online just absolutely hate the Razer Synapse software. So one of the good news is that you can install it, make your customizations on board, and just remove the software altogether and move on. So that is one of the pros of getting the V2 over the Elite. Another thing that I did touch on briefly was when I first held the mouse, I noticed that the coating was a little bit better. I can tell you the coating is just a little bit more slick on the Elite series, whereas on the new V2, it's kind of a little bit more grippier, a little bit more matte. Definitely feels a little bit sweat resistant, so I can tell you I like the texture and feel of the new V2 versus the Elite. I wouldn't call it slippery, but just a little bit more slick than the V2. One of the most important things that I have to go over is the shape. So obviously ergonomic shape for right-handed users, you'll notice that hump right here. So instead of having your hand flat like an ambidextrous mouse, you have a little angled, a really good ergonomic feel, mostly intended for palm users. And if you have large hands, claw, but really good shape, obviously really popular. It's sold over 10 million million copies, and for good reason. But the thing that I need to note here is the shape is actually a little bit different than the Elite series and the previous editions. That's the reason why this is called the V2, meaning version 2, is because there's actually a different part of the shape here. So here on the right side, you'll notice that there's this little flare on the top right. On the Elite series, it happens to flare out a lot more than it does on the V2. So the V2, this has been reduced quite a bit. The flare kind of resembles the Razer Mamba. So honestly, I don't have much an opinion. I think there's enough flare for me to grip and lift the mouse. As far as the dimensions go, the length of the mouse is 127 millimeters. The grip width is 61.7 millimeters, and the height is 42.7 millimeters. All right, guys, that pretty much sums up the video. I think I went over pretty much every significant change between the V2 and the Elite. Let me know what you guys think. If you notice anything that I missed, go ahead and drop a comment below. I will also make sure the description is updated. If you found the video helpful at all, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and support the channel by subscribing. If you guys are interested in a giveaway, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I do have a big giveaway coming up when I hit 10K. I'm gonna be giving away gaming mice, gaming keyboards, keycaps, a whole bunch of stuff, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, guys, I gotta go eat some rice. I'll see you guys on the next one. This is Little Rice Muncher Gaming signing off. Thanks.